Unable to stop the transfer of refugees from Aleppo, beginning on 20 June, the committee envisaged practical ways either to keep somehow the most vulnerable ones in town or make the survival of others possible by directing them to areas where they could try their professions and thus earn a living. Accordingly, a study on the climate and population of each county, district, and village in Aleppo province was prepared in order to determine the most suitable destinations for craftsmen, cultivators, gardeners, and muleteers. But frustration soon prevailed at the realization that the refugees were being dispatched by chance, those are the words, to spots where no job opportunities existed. Without losing hope, the committee resolved to prepare a special list indicating the expertise of each and every transient deportee for Hamid Bey, president of the Commission of Abandoned Properties, to consider when deciding where to send the deportee convoys. There is no further information on the result of this sensitive issue. The government likewise showed interest in orphans. An official from public education, or Ma'arif, attended the committee's 17 June meeting and demanded the list of parentless Armenian children in Aleppo with no express motive recorded in the minutes. The committee accordingly submitted data on a total of 86 orphans. Whether or not the government took any action vis-à-vis these juveniles, we learned that by 30 October, the committee had established an orphanage which continued to function at least through early 1970. And there were several other orphanages in Aleppo during the war for Armenian children. Now, fundraising, relief distribution, and other accommodations. The growing influx of refugees in Aleppo and the outlying districts required analogous sums of money to cope with the situation in a palpable way. By the order of Sahak II, the Prelacy Civil Council on 12 May gave the committee a check in the amount of 100 Ottoman liras. To this sum, the locum tenens added a total of 600 liras. In turn, the small local Armenian Protestant or evangelical community contributed 80 liras. Individuals also opened their pockets. Given the widespread emergency needs, the committee sought other sources of revenue as well, such as the Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople, from which it solicited 500 liras. Similarly, a fundraising drive commenced on 3 June, which yielded, according to them, satisfactory results. We are also told that upon Sahak II's urgent appeals, Cemal Pasha by 24 June had instructed his imperial government's refugee commission to give 5 meteliks and 3 meteliks daily, they would be like cents probably, to each adult underage refugee respectively, which allocations were already being made regularly for the previous 3 days in the presence of the committee. Despite this subsidy, by early July, the money campaign seems to have required new momentum. The committee thus applied to the local government to secure its aegis for the fundraising initiative. To the committee's satisfaction, the Inspector of Treasury and Commission of Abandoned Properties Chief, Hamid Bey, promised to assume the initiative presidency and to write and sign the introduction to the new ledger. He also donated 10 liras as practical evidence of his commitment to the cause. Once approval by the municipality of printed receipts was obtained, the committee endeavored to widen the circle of donors by charging 3 individuals to communicate and negotiate with the headquarters of other denominations, basically Christian denominations, non-Armenian Christian denominations, regarding the manner and direction of the drive. The total income from these sources and activities cannot be readily determined. The committee dispensed off the above funds in a number of ways, as well as resorted to different venues, limited as they were, in order to help its wretched compatriots. Refugees who received pecuniary assistance were divided into 2 categories: those who were poor and therefore did not have to reimburse the money, and those who were previously well-to-do, even wealthy, but had been dispossessed thanks to the deportation and now lived in straitened circumstances, needing some kind of support such as loans. The total of 781 individual refugees who had arrived and stayed in Aleppo by 14 May fell in the first category and accordingly obtained 4 meteliks per person per diem, in addition to 1/2 oka, or 1.4 pounds of bread. On the other hand, 42 families fell in the second category, which made them eligible for a loan of 1 mejidye per family member per diem for 12 days. These loans were extended against promissory notes signed by the recipients as well as their village headman, Mukhtar, whereby the former pledged to repay their debts in the future. Because by 24 June the committee's coffers had been largely depleted, the committee determined to halt its financial support either as an outright grant or a loan, excepting special cases and the refugees in the outlying district. Besides catering to the above groups, the committee likewise doled out money to the refugees slated for dispersal by the government. In addition, the committee sought to create a gainful occupation for the refugees by asking the Director of Public Debt Administration for permission to send them to Aleppo's environs to combat locusts, marach in Armenian, which had invaded greater Syria and caused considerable damage to vegetation in their sway. The fate of this initiative remains unknown. Finding shelter for the homeless refugees figured prominently on the committee's earliest agenda. In order to obtain the most suitable houses, the committee sought the government's assistance by asking it to expropriate immediately the vacant residences in town, a request whose outcome remains unknown. At the same time, a few separate rooms would be secured for the sick to be visited frequently on a daily basis by committee member and pharmacist Ruben Ejiazyan, accompanied by other doctors in an effort to provide the needed care, medication, and cure. As a result of growing health concerns, the committee eventually deemed the number of physicians in service insufficient and accordingly asked Dr. Samuel Shemmassian, president of the local Armenian General Benevolent Union, or AGB for short, as you know, to devote 1 or 2 hours of his daily practice for this purpose. Food, hygiene, and other basic amenities, too, were given due consideration. By 14 May, when there were 42 refugee families and 781 individual refugees in town, for example, the municipality had been providing a total of 75 liter or batman, I don't know its equivalent in pounds or kilograms yet, of bread daily. The committee likewise decided to distribute 2 bars of soap per family as of 14 May. On the other hand, the Ladies Auxiliary and Treasurer Giergian controlled and distributed donations of clothing, with the former supervising laundry as well. Finally, the committee approached the municipality twice in May with requests of 3 boxes and 4 boxes of fuel, respectively, to illuminate areas where refugees had been staying. Now, assistance to outlying districts. Although Aleppo City was the center of humanitarian assistance, the committee cast its benevolent net broader to include a number of refugee centers across Syria. Deir el-Zor, the notorious desert area that has come to symbolize the Armenian genocide, drew attention as early as 14 May, when the committee decided to send 40 liras via the Armenian Catholic Diocese of Aleppo and its counterpart in Deir el-Zor to deportees brought there from Zeytun. At the same time, the committee asked locum tenens Esayan to contact the Prelacy of the Armenian Apostolic Church in Urfa to do its part in helping the local community. On 24 June, the priest Sahak of Kilis, no surname given in the records, having obtained travel permit from the Aleppo government and oral instruction from the committee, headed to Deir el-Zor together with druggist Iskender Akhacherian Effendi to purchase and distribute 60 liras worth of medicine. Father Sahak sent the committee 2 urgent cables in which he asked for 400 liras and large quantities of medicine. On 17 July, Father Sahak, who by then had returned to Aleppo, described in calamitous terms, quote, the abandoned, unsheltered, and breadless state of the 15,000 Armenians languishing at Deir el-Zor and vicinity.